Good evening and welcome to another edition of Resource PNG. In tonight's program, we feature an interview with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, where we speak to him about first-generation Papua New Guinean businesses and their involvement with large companies, and PNG's key strategic relationships with different countries. Also on the show is an interview with Wapu Songk of the National Petroleum Company of Papua New Guinea. But first, we speak to the Prime Minister.
I guess at summits like this, it raises other key issues. I mean, especially when it comes to the government, and I'm sure you're being questioned. You've mentioned Papua New Guineans as first-generation business people. So is there a link between the first-generation business people and the larger companies, larger corporations in the country?
I think many of the bigger projects like the LNG has enabled our own companies, our Papua New Guinean indigenous-owned companies, who have been subcontracting some of the work in this area, to lift and learn from many of the contracts that they have had. As a result, their standards have improved, their skills have improved, and I think that will go so far into building other industries, particularly the construction industry in the country. You find that most of the construction work we are giving now are to Papua New Guinean-based companies from government. And as a result of that, the employment of Papua New Guineans in those areas have increased. So I think the skills that have been learned from major investors like LNG project has enabled us to do. It is starting to filter down into our communities and our people. And I think we stand a good opportunity to build a good infrastructure development for the country into the long term.
When we're talking about encouraging new investments, international and domestic, we've had a visit by the Japanese Prime Minister. What was your feeling about the visit?
I think it's a very positive visit for Papua New Guinea. It is a well-rated leader. Japan is the third biggest economy, a very influential global player, and I think the Prime Minister's visit has really done enormous benefit to our economy, our people, and our standing in the international community. It also enabled a lot of Japanese investors who do not know Papua New Guinea that much to have a first-hand experience of our country and our opportunities that are here for them to invest in. So we will see an increased Japanese companies involving in Papua New Guinea. I think you will find that Japanese businesses who are already here will be expanding their businesses as well, particularly in the oil and gas sector. Some of the investments now starting to come in, like in the partnerships in Stanley Gas in Western Province. Japanese companies have already bought interest into those. Japanese companies are, of course, have participated in the construction of the LNG project through Chiyoda and all the other contractors that they are here. Japanese companies are also the buyers of our LNG. So Japan and Papua New Guinea has got a very important relationship that we need to continue to build on it. And I think that it is important that as Papua New Guinea, we must take advantage of this opportunity. Japan has, of course, provided for US 20 billion, Japanese 20 billion yen as overseas development assistance for Papua New Guinea. We are going to use that money to build infrastructure that will also enable their businesses to also use and, of course, do business. Building the Pacific Highway through using that, building the New Britain Highway through that, building roads and bridges in Bougainville, building the Nazaré Airport Terminal. These are key projects that will continue to build the economy, and I think with the assistance from Japan, we are able to program this and roll this out. I know that it is sometimes quite frustrating to get these projects off the ground, but we must do proper design, we must do proper tendering, we must have proper contractors. So all these things take time, but our plan is to make sure that we utilize the funds and the investment dollar that is coming from the Japanese investors to the maximum benefit for our economy, but more so for our people.
Japan and the Asian market, do you have any updates on the European market possibility in Papua New Guinea?
The Europeans are starting to show great interest in Papua New Guinea, and recently, as you know, one of the largest oil companies in the world, Total, has bought interest in the Elk Antelope gas and oil fields. And of course, recently to Puma Energy, Trafigura, who is the French-based commodities trader, has bought the distribution of Interoil's fuel distribution network throughout the country. I understand that they are going to expand the refinery here to become the hub of the Pacific. They are going to invest more dollars into that refinery, which we have at Napa Napa. So it's quite obvious that the Europeans are starting to take notice of Papua New Guinea and the potentials and the opportunities that Papua New Guinea presents, and the investment dollar is starting to come in, and we are going to engage more. We are working closely with the European Union. We're working closely with the European Investment Bank. We are working closely with UK and all our other traditional partners. And I think the more engagement we have, people are aware of Papua New Guinea and Papua New Guinea's investment opportunities it presents to them.
Do you see Papua New Guinea being involved in any of the other countries, BRIC countries?
BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, they present a good opportunity for Papua New Guinea to do business with them. They are the next phase of the global economic powers of our global community. And for us, our relationship with China is very important because of the proximity that we have with China. It's not too far. We are now importing a lot of goods from China. We are exporting our gas to China. We are exporting our minerals to China. So with China, the business relationship is very strong. But we are encouraging more investment dollar from China to come into Papua New Guinea. You will notice that there's an increased number of Chinese big contractors who are present in Papua New Guinea. Many of them are starting to do an excellent work. For instance, China Aba, who is building the Ley port for us, which is funded by ADB Bank. And I think you will find that as a result of that, you will see increased shipping and, of course, trading in the port of Ley, which will benefit the whole economy as a whole. These are examples of our continued commitment and increasing bilateral relations and trade and investment relationship with China, and of course with Russia and India and of course Brazil. We are all members of this BRIC community, but Russia and India are the next phase of partnerships that we must develop. With India, of course, we've got over 1 billion people population there, emerging middle class, big purchasing power, but our engagement with them has been very slow, but starting to see Indian companies coming to PNG. I'll give you an example. Government has recently contracted an Indian company, a large multinational company called ESA, who just recently completed the building of the Como International Airstrip in up in Ella province. And today they are doing some work for the Western Islands province, building the Kapal Administrative Center. And of course, we are starting to discuss with them about other possibilities of them doing work in other major infrastructure programs in the country. So we are starting to increase the amount of people who are coming into PNG from India as well. Russia, of course, it's a bit distant from us, so our relationship is still not strong, but we need to build on it. Russia is one of the superpowers of this world. We need to engage with them more meaningfully.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back for more after these short messages. Thanks for staying with us. We continue our interview with Prime Minister, where he gives an update on the different resource projects around the country.
The economy looks very healthy, and recently with our PNG LNG exports, we've had numerous shipments already. You're quite positive about this. What do you say to those that are not so positive, skeptical, or have lost faith or losing faith?
I don't know why people are losing faith. Only people who I see are losing faith are power-hungry politicians who continue to talk Papua New Guinea down, When you are negative about life, personally, you will lead a miserable life. So my thinking and encouragement is this: think positive. The economy is growing. You only have to do is run around the streets and communities throughout the Papua New Guinea, and you see what's happening. People are positive. They are upbeat about it. Now, LNG exports is going to bring us big revenue, but we are not entirely dependent on that. We haven't got one toya from the LNG revenues yet today, but the economy is still growing. And isn't that a positive sign? All LNG receipts will do is to continue to help us boost the growth. So I don't know why people think negatively all the time and think about things that are not true. And I think the LNG just gives us more opportunities, and I think all in all we should be doing well.
PNG LNG construction phase is over. What do you anticipate as the next biggest resource sector project?
There are a few projects in line at present, and government is working closely with the developers and those who are willing to develop those resource projects. First of all, Elk Antelope project, which Total has taken up by controlling interest. Oil Sets is in there, and Interoil is in there. Government, once they come to a final investment decision and reserves are proven, we will then use our option to buy our 22.5% in the project. Now, that is the one that we are encouraging to start immediately, and we are working very closely with the developers. The second one is the Stanley project in the Western Province. We are working closely with Talisman, who is the operator there, and Horizon Oil, so that they can fully develop that project. We've given them a development license already. They've resolved some issues with the landowners, and now I understand that the development stage will now take place in Stanley in the Western Province. It's a small field, but nevertheless it's our second LNG project. And the other third major commitment that government has put forward is to working closely with current project, PNG LNG. We are doing what we call heights deep drilling, which is to try and also establish more reserves in the heights deep, so that we can be able to get more, see how many more gas we have, so we can put additional trains, what they call trains, processing centers, which will then be built so that we can take more gas in there. And of course, ExxonMobil and Oil Sets and the partners are talking about Pyongyang, which is further up north. That is owned by the group, so that we can help them develop that. We are discussing that. In the mining sector, we're talking to Penost, who've just taken over the project from Extrata and Glencore. That purchase has been concluded. We as a government has committed to them that we will take up, as required by law, 30% of the equity in that project. We are asking them to put a development proposal to government. We are encouraging them to do so. We are also talking to Newcrest and Harmony Gold for the development of Wafi Golpu in the Morobe province. We are encouraging them to come on stream quickly. But I think apart from the resource development projects, I think the best opportunities for Papua New Guinea's future sustainable development is in agriculture. We are working closely with several provincial governments and several districts to build in large-scale agricultural projects in the country. That will employ thousands of people and long-term sustainability. We need to feed the Asian market. We've got Indonesia, close to 300 million people. We've got India, 1.2 billion people. We've got China, over 1.1 billion people. All these people live within 6 hours or 7 hours from Port Moresby or from Papua New Guinea. We can feed agricultural produce to these markets immediately. So there's a huge market for us. Or close to 3.5 billion people living within our neighborhood, which we can feed. So that's a huge opportunity for us. Next, those 3.5 million people are starting to earn more money. They're becoming middle class. They've got more money in their pockets. When they have more money in their pockets, they want to travel. Tourism. Papua New Guinea must develop the tourism industry in the country. We have got everything that God has given to mankind. We've got the sun, we've got the beaches, we've got the forest, we've got natural beauty, we've got culture, custom, languages. We've got everything any other country wishes for. So we just need to develop the infrastructure, make our law and order safe, so our tourists can come in here to develop. And the third issue is manufacturing. We've got a labor cost which is low, that be able to encourage manufacturing in the country. next budget, in 2015 budget, we are going to put some incentives which will encourage manufacturing in the country. So those three areas, manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture, will give substantial incentives, including tax incentives, so that we can encourage people to come in here. Even if government does not make one toy out of these projects, the main thing is the employment that it will create for our people. Thousands and thousands of people being employed. That is what Papua New Guinea needs to aim for.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this short break. Good to have you back with Resource PNG. The National Petroleum Company of PNG and PNG Power Limited signed a Memorandum of Understanding to develop interim and long-term energy supply solutions for the growing demand of electricity in Port Moresby and the rest of Papua New Guinea. We spoke to NPCP Managing Director Wapu Songk shortly after the signing to get a better understanding of their work with PNG Power.
What quantity of gas is NPCP considering to purchase from the LNG project for PNG Power, and what will this cost?
NPCP is looking at roughly about 20 million cubic feet per day of gas quantity. That should be enough to power roughly around 80 to 100 megawatt of power supplied to Port Moresby. And we expect the project to cost about 30 million US.
Are these encouraging statistics for Papua New Guinea?
Yes, when you consider all the blackouts that we get and the inefficiencies that exist in power generation in Port Moresby especially, it is very encouraging, and we're looking at solving that.
Why wasn't it possible for PNG Power to do a direct purchase from PNG LNG rather than going through the NPCP?
PNG Power is a power generation company. It's not just plug and play. It needs integration into the PNG LNG project facility, tying in, building a pipeline, conditioning that gas from possibly high pressure down to lower pressure, so it matches the suction of the turbines in the power generation. So all that needs oil and gas skill sets to do it, and oil and gas companies to do it. That's why they came to us, to deal with ExxonMobil, interface with them, and we deliver the gas that has been conditioned and ready to go into the turbines that they own.
Mr. Songk, where does PNG Power source its gas and what rate?
At the moment, PNG Power does not operate any gas turbines or power generation units based on gas. They have some dual injection turbines, but that's been now used with diesel only. They're producing power using diesel only. There is no gas supply or gas use at the moment.
When is it likely that PNG Power will be able to use the gas to power Port Moresby and other centres?
We're still in the negotiation stage with ExxonMobil right now. So depending on how that negotiation goes, it will be anything from 18 months to 24 months from now, when we can be able to actually use the gas to fire up the turbines and produce power. In other centres, we're looking at compressed gas, mini LNG, different options to deliver gas to Leh and other major centres, but I think that's more than 2 years away from actually making it happen, yeah.
Is NPCP looking at other downstream processing opportunities?
We're looking at other opportunities as well. At this point, we're supporting the government agencies that are looking into petrochemicals. That's recently been announced by Sojits. They're doing a feasibility study, and we are assisting in doing petrochemicals in country, but it's really at a very early stage. This feasibility study has been been commissioned by Sojitz of Japan. So we are interested, and we work with the agencies like DP, Gas Project Coordination Office, to get that understanding on whether petrochemical economics works well, or it's LNG that works well for our gas that we have. So we need to do the feasibility study, and we are part of it.
I guess we're talking about, if I can wrap it up, PNG's gas sector, the future of PNG's gas sector. Do you have a message on the current status of NPCP?
NPCP is a state-owned entity. We're building capacity, and we want to be equal partner and a proactive partner in the oil and gas business. And I think the key is really to encourage development. The Train 3 expansion that's being talked about, the Gulf LNG that's been talked about. NPCP will be partner in those development, and we're happy to sit in the middle between government and the developers, and encourage the development to go forward. So we're in the middle, and we're in a unique position to encourage development.
Thank you, Mr. Songk, for your time here.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have for you tonight on Resource PNG. If you want to know more about the program, do email us on this address. That's resourcepng@emtv.com.pg, or check MTV online. That's www.emtv.com.pg, and go to our Resource PNG page. You can also check out our page on Facebook. Until the same time next week, have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.